Hey, what is going on, guys? In this video today, I would like to talk about optimal binds for Rainbow Six Siege. And by that I mean the key binds that you use mainly for leaning left and right, and for using your main abilities, and for crouching and proning and meleeing. So if you want to see that, make sure to stick around. I promise it'll be worth your while. If you do enjoy the video, please do consider leaving a like, comment and subscribe, and hitting that notification bell if you want to stay up to date with my content. And I really do believe that this video will help you to improve at Siege, so make sure to watch it the whole way through. And yeah, let's go right into it. Alright, so to start off, what I mean by optimal keybinds is basically, what I see optimal keybinds as is basically you want to be able to hit these keybinds without using the fingers that you use to hit W, A, S and D. And the reason for that is because if you can do that, that means that you can move completely freely and also do these things like use your ability or lean left and right without any sort of hassle at all. That means that you can literally move completely freely and never have to worry about taking your fingers off those buttons for that. So what you want to do is try to optimize all of your keybinds that you use when in combat. And what I would do for that is your lean keys, like for leaning left and right. So what I do is I use C to lean left and V to lean right because I hit both of them with my thumb. And I also use left control to crouch because I hit left control with my pinky finger, and I also hit shift, and those are the only two buttons I hit with my pinky finger, which means that I can just switch between one or the other really quickly. But also I have sprint on left shift, and you don't need to use crouch and sprint together very often, so that's why I find that quite optimal. Then for my abilities, for my main ability I use Q, and for my secondary ability I use L. But you see, what I do is I have L bound to a mouse button, so I just hit a button on my mouse to use my secondary ability. Now for my other keybinds, I use another mouse button for prone, and I also use a mouse button for meleeing. But I would actually not recommend using many buttons on your mouse, that is side buttons, because it tends to throw off your aim. That's why I've picked carefully the three that I actually do use on my mouse, which again are secondary gadget, melee and prone. Now the reason that I've chosen these three is because with secondary gadget, normally you don't need pinpoint precision in order to use it as much as you would for aiming. So I put that there. I've also put melee there for the same reason, but prone normally is because you'll be ducking behind cover normally when you prone as well, because since drop shotting doesn't really work anymore. So basically that's why I put prone in it. Usually you'll be proning behind a table or something like that, which will give you some time to readjust your aim. But anyway, some keys that I'd recommend using for optimal keybinds would be X, C and V, provided that you hit them with your thumb. What I do is I hit X, C and V with my left thumb. If you don't hit them with your thumb and you hit them with your pointer finger, I wouldn't really recommend that because you're going to be taking it off D. So I'd recommend either hitting those with your thumb or just not using them at all for optimal binds anyway. But other than that, I would use left control, left shift and caps lock, and also your mouse buttons. Those are, in my opinion, some very optimal binds. And also, if you can't do that, try to put them on binds that are very close to W, A, S and D, such as Q and E or F, which I know are already the standard lean binds, but I wouldn't actually really recommend putting your lean binds on Q and E, because unless you know the technique for peeking while going left and peeking while going right, but I do find that to be a little bit less smooth than the way I do it, but it's up to you. In the end, do remember to make your own keybinds, because if you do start using someone else's and you don't feel comfortable with them, there's no point in using them. Also, when you're making your own keybinds, don't put them anywhere that you are in any way uncomfortable with. Like, say if you have a button on T and you just find it very difficult to stretch your fingers over to T, don't use T. Just use a different bind, such as the ones I mentioned earlier. But yeah, those are basically, in my opinion, the most optimal binds at the moment. I may make an updated video about this in the future, but at the moment I think if you want to have optimal binds that will really help you to play better, make sure to use something along these lines that I've given you. Anyway, that's about going to wrap up this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope that it has helped you out. And yeah, hope to see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.